Hey everyone, thanks for coming back. In the previous section, we were talking about gaps and common mistakes that we see in Web3 growth marketing. In this section, we're going to talk about the opportunities and try to address the question, is there anything better when doing Web3 growth marketing and user acquisition? And the short answer is yes. There's an overlooked opportunity that people from the outside don't necessarily recognize about the blockchain industry, and that is the blockchain where all financial and activity takes place is public and it maintains all of the data from the beginning of time. Let that sink in. Try to imagine a world where you see every user, not just your own users, and what they did in any other business, not just from the moment that they become your user, but from the beginning of time and moving forward. This is huge. And in order to understand why that's huge, we need to compare that to Web2 marketing or any other marketing that's not happening in Web3 industry. So in the common industry, marketing is typically limited to first-party data. That is, you can start collecting data for users only when they are your users, that's the first party, and only starting at the moment that they become your users. So you see only what they do with your platform and only what they do moving forward. And when you collect this data, you start building a CRM, that's a customer relationship management system, and that takes time to start collecting this data before you can figure out patterns about how to improve the marketing of your company. In Web3, it's the opposite. You start with public available data in which you can see all trades and all financial logs. For instance, you can see who bought what, who traded with whom. You can see that both historic and in real time. The difference is you're not able to tell the people behind that. So with first-party data, you are able to associate every action with an email address, for instance, or with a mobile number. So you can say, this specific user did that on my platform. With Web3, you can see what everybody does, but you don't have an identifier to figure out who's who. And that's exactly what marketers are typically looking for. They don't care about the individual. They don't care, for instance, knowing what a suf did. What they care about is looking at that at scale and understanding the patterns in the data. So the key opportunity, and that's Web3's main advantage, is that it provides the data to analyze the entire market and base the growth based on the data and what users are doing everywhere. In that sense, there's a term coined by Salesforce saying, wallet is the new cookie. For those of you that are less familiar with cookies, cookies are a tracking identifier in which whenever you visit a website, that website is saving a file on your computer, which is called a cookie. And then the typical way in which targeting is done today is that whenever you're visiting new websites, these websites can figure out where you've been based on cookies that reside on your browser. And this is how the advertisement system behind the scenes knows which advertisement to serve you. So if you ever feel like they know me, they understand whether I like a specific car or whether I like a specific service, that's because cookies are used to track you. Thing is that due to regulation and privacy, cookies are phasing out. So not too long ago, Google were declaring that they're going to kill the cookies, which is a huge, huge change to the marketing industry, not being able to do targeted ads again. From that perspective, in Web3, the wallet, which is the key identifier of every user on the blockchain, becomes the new cookie because every wallet is associated with the set of actions that users take on the blockchain. The nice thing is that it's not associated to a specific individual, so that even if you're able to analyze the data and tell one human apart from another, you're unable to say who's the user behind that unless they decide to reveal themselves. And this has a key opportunity. So as marketing in any other company that's not Web3 is going to degrade significantly, and they're going to find it more difficult to find the users that they're looking for, Web3 has a huge advantage with public and available data so that marketers can analyze that to regain lost abilities such as targeting, getting to the users that you want to, and personalization, learning about users that are stepping in and offering them a personalized experience. Based on the data opportunity, we built a new process that is helping Web3 marketers operate with this new and huge opportunity. And it starts with the ability to target users based on their on-chain and off-chain behavior. So for instance, go back to the point in which I was asking marketers, who's the target audience you're looking for? And they were typically thinking about the on-chain behavior. For instance, a financial exchange can think about users that have some high net worth, for instance, or are trading very frequently or are interested in specific digital tokens. But on the off-chain activity, it might be that they're regulated and they're finding it difficult to advertise, for instance, in the US, or conversely, that they're based in Brazil, and this is where their target market lies. So with the ability to collect data from both ends and do targeting of users based on both on-chain, which is not present in any advertising platform that you're familiar with, for instance, Instagram or Twitter or anything else, and the off-chain activity, that's a very powerful tool for marketers to reach to the target audience that they were thinking of initially. So a few examples of what users can target by with such a process is on-chain activities and holding, for instance, users that are trading frequently or own specific digital tokens. Demographics and social activities, for instance, users that are based in Brazil or that are following specific accounts. Users who engage with your content or smart contracts, for instance, users that are making transactions to your smart contract on chain, for instance, because they're playing a game that you're offering on the blockchain. And your competitors engage users. So if, for instance, you're developing a blockchain game and you're able to see on the blockchain who's playing your competitor's game, you can also go ahead and target them. Another step within the process is what we call Web2 to Web3 attribution. So attribution is the method of learning for every conversion event. For instance, a user buying something or a user doing a significant activity on your website or product, what was the process that led to it? For instance, a user stepped into my website, logged in, and then bought an expensive NFT. How did this user get to the website? Was that because they heard some influencers somewhere, or was that because they pressed an ad on Twitter or Instagram? That's very important to learn and know so marketers can decide where they want to deploy their marketing budgets. With Web3, it's becoming incredibly difficult because tracking advertisements and website traffic, that's old news, right? But tracking blockchain conversions, it's a pretty new tech. So what we were able to do, and not just us, other companies that are emerging in the field of Web3 marketing, is connect the entire marketing funnel so that marketers can figure out who clicks which ads, who goes to the website, who logs in, and who converts, not by name. Again, nobody cares about the individual, but rather putting together a picture to help you understand which channels are driving which revenue. And with all of this data streamlined to a single system, that helps marketer make the right campaign decisions by measuring the full conversion cycle, which is what marketers really want. And if you go back to the gaps and opportunities, I was chatting about 63% of the marketers not having strong marketing metrics. That's the part in which it's not that they don't want to, but it's pretty much difficult to get the numbers into a single place, which is what we're trying to transform about the industry. As the data makes it in, it's incredibly important that it's actionable. Analytics are powerful. Knowing which countries users are coming from or which advertisement campaign, that's an incredibly important step of the process. But another significant complementary part to that is the action. What are you going to do with that? And this is something that is incredibly important for us and to everybody in the Web3 marketing industry about how to transform insight into actions. And the way in which we do that is using advertising in a targeted manner. So for instance, let me give you an example. Based on all of the data that you're bringing in, we're helping you figure out and understand your ideal customer profile, where users are coming from across the globe, what's their balanced distribution, what else did they do on the blockchain, and leverage this profile so that you can target them in an effective way. Here's just an example of how you can look at different distributions of where users are coming from, what else are they working with. Another example of crafting together the ideal customer profile. Another part is that you want to look at users at different stages of the funnel. For instance, what characterizes users who already converted and bought something from me versus abandoned carts, users that stepped into my website, signed up and logged in, but never performed a conversion event. The reason why we call that abandoned carts is that this term is very common with retailers or e-commerce website in which you go inside, you decide to put some objects within the cart, but you end up leaving and not buying them. What was the reason behind that? That's a question that often lingers in the mind of advertisers and that we're now helping solve by helping you analyze the abandoned cart users behind that. Thank you for finishing this part about growth opportunities. Now we'll be moving into the third and last part about growth strategies and how to put everything that we've seen together into a playbook that works and how well they work in reality.